Ipswich Buses, your local bus company serving your football team. Buses run every 10 minutes. Avoid the traffic. Don't get stuck in the delay. Get Ipswich Buses today. A single from only £1.20, a return from only £2. Find out more information at www.ipswichbuses.co.uk. Ipswich Buses, proud to partner with Talking Town. Hello again, my friends, and you are my friends, and welcome to your Monday night's Talking Town Extra Time. You know who I am by now, but in case you tuning in for the first time, I am the Gov. Welcome to Talking Town, the platform for fans by fans of Ipswich Town FC, and we've got a packed show for you today. We are really looking forward to further discussions on Gillingham. As I said yesterday on Talking Town, the title of the show, Bowling Shoe Ugly. It wasn't pretty. It was ugly. But a win's a win. Or is it, Mr. Nunn? I don't know. Maybe he will feel, yes, a win, but is this what we signed up for? I'm not sure. You never know with George. We could go one or two or three different ways. The possession stat he might want to talk about, knowing George and his pad statting, or stat padding, rather. Then we've got Carl Edwards, James Norwood, Joe Pigott, all different manner of topics. But of course, it wouldn't be Talking Town. Thank you very much, Jeremy Lowe, £1.79. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Welcome one and welcome all. Oh, I like that. Write that down. Welcome one, welcome all. Oh, that's a good one. But yes, it wouldn't be Talking Town without a live link to get involved, and it wouldn't be Talking Town without a live chat. So get busy. And we'll turn to Doncaster towards the end of the show. But do forgive me because there is no prediction league or new prediction league this week. I've been very busy. We've had James Norwood, Craig Forrest last night. What a show, by the way. 2 shows yesterday. A show every single night this week. And I'm on the milkshake, which can only mean one thing. The Gover's got tonsillitis yet again. So bear with me on that front. If you ever catch me drinking milkshake and it's not a McDonald's, it's safe to say I've got tonsillitis. So do bear with me. Right, let's bring in my first contributor. I've got an intro for him, but I don't think it really goes with the persona he's given off tonight. You let me know what you think. He's mean, he's lean, he's a fighting machine. Look at that.
Can't be asked to shave.
Look at that ruggedness, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome,
I'm not sure about that. It looks less patchy on screen, or at least on a small screen. So that's
you
fine.
look like you've just literally got off your Harley Davidson, taken your helmet off, and you're going for a nice cold beer in some American Western city.
Well, I've got a cold beer in a Arizona thing, so I'm halfway there.
There you go. He is halfway there. And do you ride motorbikes?
No.
Can you ride motorbikes?
No.
Oh, that's where that falls down. Jeremy, a £4.49. Jeremy, we love you. Thank you ever so much. We appreciate you. David understands there will be a prediction league, though, David, towards the end of the week. Kevin, great show last night. Craig Forrest, many memories of the goalkeeper yourself, George?
Yeah. There was sort of my my heyday season ticket years, the Forest years. So, many fond memories of... Not specific. I'm terrible. You know what my memory's like. I'm terrible with specific memories about specific games and specific players. But he was obviously a bit of a legend back in my younger days.
Absolutely, yeah. Honestly, if you've not seen it yet, which I'm, busy man with
I haven't
family.
had a chance to watch it yet, but hopefully I'll catch
I'd
up
urge
with
you
it
to. We have from dust ups with Dalian to the 9-0, and George Burley saying they won't expect us to attack. There's some great pearlers in there. Some really good little nuggets that I thoroughly enjoyed it. And he was a player just before me, really. I mean, as a kid growing up, I'd get the old season review tapes out of the drawer, put them on, and then I would pretend to be Craig Forrest in the front room. I would watch the tape and I'd pretend to try and save the goal and whatnot. And so growing up, he's a player I watched on tape, but I went to the games at that point because I'm a mere baby. As we were actually, it's quite a good topic to discuss on air because as we were saying off it, George is a little bit older than me, but he doesn't look a day older than me. So either his moisturising regime is really good, and or mine's just really, really bad. Let us know in the chat. As you do, let's bring in our second contributor, the guy with himself an amazing beard and an amazing Twitter. Lionel Von Roll. Look at that. What a Twitter
Hello,
handle,
boys.
man. Every time I see you on the show, it makes me smile because that Twitter handle is simply the best. Most people go for at HDR Martin or at George Nunn 1 or at Matt Phillips, whatever. Not Alex. Lionel Von Rock. Epic. How are you, Alex? How's your weekend been?
Very well, very well. Very busy, but all good. Good result on Saturday after a not so great performance, but that's the sign of an amazing team. So that was a good start. Chilled out day yesterday, back at work today, and here I am doing this. So
were you on the beers? Were you on the Freddie Sears Saturday night?
Yes, I was.
Good man.
Saturday afternoon. I think that might have been why I thought the game was so good on Saturday. I think I was quite far gone by the time I turned up.
That's the way to be. That is the way to be. Roy says he's not sure his name's been added to the Ko-Fi list yet. I thought I saw your name on there, Roy. Yeah, there you go. Roy, under Robert Smith. So we can put a surname on there, no problem for you, Roy. But that is you. You are on the list. You have made it to the boards. Craig at Portsmouth, great show last night. Gov, for me, one of, if not the best talking towns in the year I've been watching. Thank you very much, Craig at Portsmouth. I'm sure the lads would love to hear that. And I hope you and your wife are well. Jeremy wants the link. The link is coming, Jeremy. Be ready. Have your opinions all peeled off and ready to go. But first, let's get you two's thoughts. Because, hang on, before I get into the game, Paul Cook linked with Chesterfield, of all teams. George, you were highly critical of Mr. Cook and his time here. What do you make of that then?
It's a funny memory you've got. It would be way too easy to say he's found his level because that would be mean. But that feels like he's that feels like a nostalgic move for him. And to be honest, fair play to him. Maybe it's what he needs. He needs to go somewhere where they like him and he can hopefully have a more positive impact on a team. But yeah, I don't know where. I suspect he could get a job above the National League. So there's got to be something in it that's beyond just desperation
nostalgia?
to get back into football.
Yeah, nostalgia's a good one, Alex. But I mean, George is right, isn't he? I mean, if he does go to the National League, that would be. I think we worked out last week. 9 players of last year scored in League Two. Another manager in the National League. It's hardly shouting great foundation for the new, is it?
No, it's not. But I agree. I agree with George. I think he could quite easily. You don't become a bad manager overnight with Paul Cook, and it just didn't work out for him here for whatever reason. I think if he went to Chesterfield, it would maybe have some. He's got some affinity to Chesterfield, maybe going in there help him out a little bit. But and if he wants to do that, then all power to him. But I can see him. As possibly for now, I don't think he'll get another champ job or top end League One. I can see him sort of being middle to lower end of League One, possibly League Two, but I don't see him dropping that far down personally.
Okay, just put a little bit of meat on the bone there for you, George. As Ashley says in the chat, but Chesterfield are currently sitting in second. Ashley thinks they've got a few quid about them as well. Plus, there's looking good for promotion. So that will put on his CV, won't it? So
yeah, Callie's right, and I'm being facetious, but part of me hopes that if he goes, he keeps the same coaching team and he builds the same sort of unit that he had around him when he had Richardson, because he's got League One promotions on his CV, but so's Liam Richardson because he was part of that team, and his team just didn't work here. But if he's serious about them, keep them, take them to Chesterfield if that's where he ends up. Get a promotion, maybe even 2 promotions under his belt, and in a couple of years' time they'll be back and at it, I'm sure. But it's not just Paul Cook that won those promotions out of League One. So as much as Callie's right, he obviously missed Liam Richardson more than I think he was gonna
Yeah, Rob Smith makes a great point. Paul Hurst is down there as well with Grimsby. Okay, let's do what Ross and Friends loves to do, and that's pivot to Saturday. 1-0. Bowling shoe ugly. Alex, I could see you from my seat. You look to be enjoying the game, but you just said that might have been the beers. Tell us how you're feeling now on a Monday night when you've got a little bit less alcohol in your system.
Yeah, I think, for me in this league, you're not going to play amazing football every game, and that in years gone by, that would have been a draw or a loss. But the fact that we ground the result out, and right now with the margin of errors that we said we've got that are getting less and less and less, I will take performances like that for the rest of the season if we scrape out 1-0 wins, because for me at the moment the result is more important than the performance. And they always say, as I said before, the sign of a good team is when you can play well or not play well and still win, and we did that on Saturday. So for me it's a positive, but we put that in the rearview mirror now. We focus on Doncaster, give them the respect they deserve, because they'll be up for it after their result on Saturday. We don't go to Doncaster tomorrow and just think, oh, they're bottom of the league, we're going to roll them over.
Okay, before we get to the Doncaster though, let's I'll pick up on something you just said there though, Alex, with George. Sign of a good team is winning when you don't play well. But we saw that with Lambert, didn't we, when we were riding high, and that didn't end too well. What do you make of Alex's points there?
I think he's right. I
thought you would.
If we played that poorly, and I didn't see it. I've watched as many highlights as I could since Saturday, but if we played that poorly, and I'll come back to that in a second. The reason I say if, not because I doubt everyone that said that we were bad, but but we still ground out a result, then great. And first thing I was going to say is what I really liked after the game was Chaplin particularly coming out, and what he said was not what we'd have heard under Lambert, not what we'd have heard under Cook, which would have been, we were brilliant. We really ground out a win, and we did what we needed to do and all the rest of it. He came out and said that was as bad as we played, but we won. Let's move on.
Do you think that's because he's a rookie manager and he's still learning?
That was what Chaplin said, but I can't remember what McKenna said.
My mistake. Okay.
I'm sure he probably said something similar. But but the fact that they can come out and say that and feel comfortable enough to come out and talk honestly about bad performances, I'm all for that. But yeah, the reason I say if about the bad performance, I'm sure it was, but I watched, I think, the 10 minutes extended highlights a couple of times this afternoon, and I didn't think it was from as a highlights reel. I didn't think it was that bad. I've watched some appalling highlights reels from our games this season, like where I could barely make it through 10 minutes. I mean, it was entertaining enough that I made it through, and I thought we looked all right. There was a couple of chances that looked like they went absolutely begging. Piggott's header for one, when he should have done way better, with the ball coming back across the box from the corner. He just can't get any luck, can he? But I mean, I bad performance, but a win, I think.
Yeah. Well, to show you the stats here, George. Possession 63% in our favour, 10 shots, 2 on target, 4 corners, 13 fouls. Possession-wise, talk to me, because 63% is an awful lot of possession with only 2 shots on actual target. What do you make of that?
Thompson came out, didn't he, afterwards? Because I sent you, and I know you're raising this because I sent you a message on Saturday about if it comes out as a stat padding comment, which is again what we would have had from previous regimes probably. But again, I liked that Thompson. I think it was Thompson in his interview after the game said, we had masses of possession, but we're not in it for padding stats. That's not good enough. Brilliant. I can't. They've said it before we can say it, so that's absolutely great as far as I'm concerned. Like, there's nothing wrong with having 63% possession, but
if you use
it, but we need to. Doesn't mean you're playing good football with the ball, right? But they've acknowledged that they didn't play good football with the ball, so fair play. We move on.
Okay, I've dropped the link in the chat. Alex, I'll pivot to yourself there because 63 possession. We're not in the business of stat padding. From your position at Portman Road, did it feel like possession for possession sake, or did it have a different feel being there in the 90?
I think, you know, we do try and play forward, but I still think we get a little bit guilty that at the moment still of trying to play too many passes. It'll be like there's still I think a fair bit of passing around the back. I think one thing we maybe do need to do is possibly be a little bit braver, and you know, the ball, it may be only like a 60% chance of making that pass, but I would rather do that and try rather than, you know, and go for that one pass, then another 4 or 5 or 6 round the back whilst we decide what we're going to do next. You know, I think we need to be a little bit braver, and I think that comes with confidence. And you know, we can say that is the confidence there? You know, are they consistent? I just don't think we've had that bravery. You know, you'd see games under the Lambert era where we'd have possession stats higher than that, but we didn't actually do anything, because teams like Gillingham, they're perfectly happy to sit off us and let us have the ball at the back. You know, because at the end of the day, we're not going to do them any damage. But what someone needs to do, take the ball by the horns and just be like, and make that one pass or that one run for which I think we can be guilty of maybe not doing enough of, potentially.
Okay. Yep. Sorry, Alex. £5 from David. Super sticker. We appreciate that, David. Love the avatar as well. Love it. Mike D, YouTube member, says the midfield 2 were the biggest problem Saturday. I think he says carb football, but I think he means crab football. It was certainly asthmatic snow level of football. I'm going to bring a coach in now, because you made some good points there, Alex, as to yourself, George. Maybe it was down to Gillingham, who EJ Norris himself, another YouTube member, says got robbed, deserved at least a point. I guess we took our chances. Maybe it was Gillingham's tactics to allow us to have the ball, ask us the question, can you break us down? I'll bring the coach in, Mr. Mike Brown, the fisherman. How did you see it Saturday with the possession snap?
It was Lambert-esque again, wasn't it? I wasn't impressed at all. I watched. The thing about I follow is sometimes you can just sort of watch a player as the move develops, and you think to yourself, "Oh my days, what are you doing?" You know. But look, we won. We got a goal. That's about the only thing Chaplin did all game. He was woefully poor, but he weren't the only one. You know, Everton got in the team of the week. So did Chaplin. I'm like, on what planet? You know, all these stats, FIFA stats, driving up the wall. As you know, I'm not a great fan of all that crap. You know, because at the end of the day, is what happens on paper and what happens actually on a football pitch are 2 different things. The reality is that Evanson didn't have a great game again. He's not been great. I don't like him playing the left-hand side of the 3. I think he's a far better, more central a defender in that more central role than I would say on that left side, which would mean either Wolfie moving over to the left or Doncaster dropping out and bringing in Burgess on that left-hand side. I'm not a fan of Doncaster being dropped out because I think he's probably been one of our best players all season. Again, probably consistent 6.5 at the weekend. Like I said, it was, you know, people slating Norwood. Oh, he only gave him a 4. And it was people giving 4 or 5, whatever. Right, well, Norwood was playing out wide left of a 3, wasn't he? I mean,
You were playing inside,
you know,
left.
what happened to the 3-5-2 that came in and we were playing some? We looked comfortable. We looked really structured, and then suddenly we're going back to like a 3-4-3, and Norwood's pushed out. Suddenly he's pushed out wide on the wide of the 3, and he's not scoring. You know, it's to me, you know, Piggott again, rubber feet at the weekend. People saying, "Oh, he held the ball up. He battled well," and I'm not going to give Piggott too much stick because he hasn't played a lot of time, but he does need to do better than he did against Gillingham. Okay. You know, I've
lots of points there, Mike. Let's George, first one, James Norwood, and the 3-5-2. Talk to us about that, because McKenna did say when he arrived, we'd be tactically flexible. We'll approach every game on its merits. But Mike has got a point there. The 3-5-2, which was successful for a short period, it has kind of been scrapped by the look of it the last couple of games, and Norwood's been playing inside left. What are your thoughts on what the fisherman has said there?
Yeah, I mean, it is a shame. I agree with Mike. I think when we played it, we looked solid. We looked fluid. I thought we looked like we were, I realise that's a contradiction in terms, but you know what I mean. We looked good, and it is curious as to the change. But as is the team. To be honest with you, I winced a little when I saw the starting 11 on Saturday, and that's not criticism. I just didn't expect. I didn't expect Carroll and Evans and who else went in? Oh, Piggott. But I trust McKenna completely. Not meant as a criticism at all. He obviously is just tinkering with it a bit.
Which he said he would do in his defence there, George.
Exactly,
Mike also said, Alex, about the back three. He wouldn't be dropping Doncaster, or he'd be hesitant to because he's been Player of the Year for Mike. Maybe moving Edmondson, bringing Burgess. You've got Owen in the chat, Owen Griffiths saying, give Burgess a chance. Is the back 3/4 something we have to look at? I mean, at the weekend, from my perspective, from the Cobble stand, it looked like Doncaster was playing as a fullback, with Wolf in Edmondson in the centre. Edmondson given license to roam because of Evans's tactical stability and staying where he was, or discipline. But the back 3 or 4, as Mike was saying, Alex, talk to us about that. Is there a balance to be addressed there?
I don't. It's a difficult one because I'm with Mike.
What was the team, Alex?
I'm with Mike on JD. I think JD's been very, very consistent this year, and I think he doesn't set the world alight, but you know what you're going to get from him. I think as well. I was thinking about this with Edmondson over the last couple of games. I think it might have been crunch a few weeks ago when a lot of people were calling for the drop Morsey as captain, give it to Edmondson. I think possibly with Edmondson, I think possibly crunch has been proven to be correct, that the burden of captaincies may be sort of weighed on Edmondson a little bit in the terms of, those. I think possibly just let him go and play the game. I think to say we're going to drop Edmondson and bring Burgess in, I think we talk about credit that players have built up this year. I think Edmonton has got that credit in the bank against like a Burgess has at the moment. If I was George Edmonton, I would feel very miffed if I was suddenly dropped out of the team for. Not saying that Cam Burgess is a bad player at all. He's not. But I would.
Well, Mike D is. He's saying he's the worst thrower in the summer. Alex. Mike, you're not agreeing with that one. You're not.
No, not at all. No.
Yeah, Mike D, I think that's totally unfair. I really do.
Yeah, I agree with you, Alex. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Edmonton's got us out. Yeah, he's made a few mistakes, but I think at the moment that balance is still that he's saved us more points than he's cost us. So I think to say he's the worst sign of the summer is just totally unfounded.
Okay, I'm going to come back to you here, Mike, because I'm going to tell you I would drop Doncaster. Edmondson has been steady. He's been a rock. I might ask George in a minute about the psychological expectations of a captain versus is it a real or is it more of a psychological thing? With people expecting the armband, a bit of plastic, but a paper weighing heavy. But back to the Doncaster there, Mike. I'd drop Doncaster because going forward, he offers absolutely nothing.
How many assists has he got?
Daryl Murphy had a great season. Outside of one. No. That's an absolute perfect point to come back to me with. But how many assists has he got recently?
It doesn't matter recently. He's not, it's about how many assists
no player's position is safe, though.
Based on that, you could argue the same about Bond. You could argue about a few other players, couldn't you, really? Macaulay Bond was the last time he scored 1 in 15 now, hasn't he?
Correct, yeah.
I mean, Doncaster, I think he's on 6 assists, isn't he? Something silly like that.
He was on quite a few assists.
Hey, I tell you what, Doncaster reminds me. He reminds me, right? And I was talking to Colin about this earlier. He reminds me of Gus Uhlenbeek. He can defend. He's got plenty of pace, but sometimes, going forward, he's not the best. We know that, but he's been the most consistent player this year. And we talk about Edmondson, and he's a bloody good defender. Let's clear that up straight away. Very good defender, highly rate him and everything. Yeah, but he has got mistakes in him that has cost us. in games this season. Okay, little back pass here when he should have had his head up, instead of back pass, a little bit Chambers-esque of last season. You know, we need to cut them kind of mistakes out. No, that's true. You know, that doesn't make him a bad defender. What it does is he needs to cut them mistakes out. You get away with it to a point in League One, but you won't get away with it in the Championship, and you certainly won't get away with it in the Premier League.
Well,
So the reality is, you know,
Yeah,
and
he's millions of miles away from the Premier League. That doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Hang on, we talk about progression. We talk about getting out of this league, and we talk about progressing to try and get into the, you know, once we're in the Championship, our next step is the Premier League. The reality is, people are saying Edmondson and players like that would be good enough to play in the Championship and good enough to play in the Premier League. That's been quoted on here. It's been quoted by many fans. Now, the reality is, right, is that we need to be more consistent as a team. We need a more consistent side and a side where less. I mean, look, I love McKenna. I think he's the right man for the job. Is he learning? Yes. 3 words said, something on social media said, put 3 words about McKenna this year. Right? 1, learning. 2, progression. And 3, professional. They would be the 3 words that would sum up Kieran McKenna, in my opinion, from what I've seen. Okay? So, you know, he's dropped from a highly established club as a coach and come straight into management. No one said it was going to be built, Rome was going to be built in a day. But most teams that get out of this league and out of League Two, right, end up playing with a consistent, and they tend not to change the team around too much.
Okay.
Once they get a formation, once they get a formula, they tend to stick to it, and then a consistent formula breeds consistent games, performances, consistent wins, and that's how you get up. The way we've played this year, I mean, I know that we had the bad start and everything, and you know, we know why that happened. You can see that there was loads of reasons. It was blamed on too many players coming in. It was blamed on other things. It was blamed. Reality is, we all know now that Paul Cook wasn't quite, you know, without Richardson, wasn't quite ready for, you know, a club like us and the kind of finances, and the way he went about it wasn't always great. But what we have now is we have a manager that is showing progression, and there's going to be little backward steps. So I do consider Sheffield Wednesday a bit of a backward step, and I do consider the Gills game a little bit of a backward step with a positive twist, because the end of the day is, regardless of the performance, the result stands as we beat them 1-0. And that's the bottom line. We do have to push forward as a club, but we have to be more ruthless in this league. We have to be a lot more stronger in this league than what we have been. You know, we can't expect to go up to teams like Gillingham, like Doncaster, like Morecambe, like Cheltenham, and expect to turn up and win the games. Because the reality is, Doncaster tomorrow night is not going to be easy. So our players have not, you know, we're spending. If I said to someone on Twitter earlier, I've spent if I'm an owner and I've spent £9 million, and I'm spending £9 million on wages in League One, I mean, I'm not expecting good results. I'm demanding good results. You know, and the minimum requirement should be playoffs.
Which is why Paul Cook was removed, though, isn't it? That's probably
yeah. We know. Yeah, of course. Yeah, I agree.
Because they are demanding those results, and to McKenna's credit, the results are there. He
Absolutely.
has been the catalyst in the turnaround. Mike, you made some wonderful points there, truly wonderful. Lots to unpack. The chat has been going busy with your Edmondson opinion. Just before you go, I want to ask you: so, would you drop George Edmondson for tomorrow night?
Would I drop him? No, of course not. No. Be stupid to do that.
Okay, perfect. Love it. All right, Mike. Hope to speak to you again soon. Look after yourself.
All the best,
stay
guys.
well. How are you feeling, by the way?
Yeah, I did another COVID test today, and it took a lot longer for the positive result to come back. So it was, you know, so I'm probably at the back end of it now, and
good man. Well, you're looking well.
You know, I feel better. don't feel so tired as I did this morning, but yeah, I feel better. Thank you very much for asking.
Keep calm and carry on TTing. We'll speak to you soon. Look after yourself. Ashley Bell would move the National out to the right. Move the National out to the right wing position if Burns is out. Play Edmondson, Wolf, and Burgess. Stephen Parry, you were busy in the chat when Mike was speaking. What are your thoughts?
Thing is, I get what Mike's saying, but I worry about Burgess because the way we play, we're playing this like passing, ball playing defender thing, and I don't know whether Burgess can do that role. You know, we could try him, but are we going to have someone who's worse than what we've got? At the moment, we've got a consistent back three who's playing that role. And I know people can turn around and say, well, yeah, we're making mistakes, but every team who plays that system gives the ball away. It's par for the course, I'm afraid. Even McKenna said, look, sometimes it happens. You just have to, dig yourself out of it when it does. And that's what Edmondson did. He gave the ball away, and lo and behold, he was there to stop the ball going in the net. So he did dig himself out of a hole. So, and we've also got its risk versus reward. When the ball was played to Chaplin, that was Edmondson. So he's getting forward and creating an assist, which is exactly what he's there. So if he's not doing that, do we score? It's risk versus reward. And we had Wolfenden on Saturday. He was near enough at their touchline. He was near enough at, on the byline. I'm thinking, like, this is a defender. It's risk versus reward. Sometimes you have to take the risk to get the reward. And the risk is that you might give the ball away or you might allow your opposition in. But that's the risk you've got to take. That's the risk we are taking as a club. You balance that up to say whether that can get us an extra body in midfield that can get somebody else forward so we can score a goal, which is what happened. Or we risk opening ourselves up at the back and we might concede, but we didn't. So I look at it from that sort of perspective. And I think in general, Edmondson's you can argue whether he's good though. I think he's all right. He's probably, could you swap him with Wolf? Would Wolf be any better though? Probably not. So who else do you play there? Unless someone can turn around to me and say Burgess is a ball playing defender. I think he's a sub to come on if anything happens. Like I said, it all comes to the fact that a lot of these players aren't Kieran McKenna's players either.
Well, that's a great point. And you started with that in terms of Christian Burgess perhaps not being a fit for Kieran McKenna's style of play. George, is Steve onto something there in the sense of maybe Burgess is now a player that was brought in for a previous manager and doesn't fit the ethos, the style of play, the tippy-tappy, tick-a-tack football?
I don't know. I've not seen enough of him. I don't think I don't think not having a replacement is really the issue. I don't think there is an issue, particularly with the back three at the moment. I agree completely with what Stephen said. I was going to pick out his message in the chat from while Mike was speaking about if you play more passes in defence, you're going to give the ball away more, which is exactly right. And the point about Edmondson making up for his mistake is absolutely right as well. Like a lot of defenders, particularly at this level, would not have got that back. Giving it away where he gave it away and to get across and make that block, that was quality defending. Yes, he was at fault for the initial initial issue, but yeah, that was cracking defence. And I think, and again, he marauds forward every once in a while, and something may or may not come of it. And I think my biggest criticism of Edmondson really is just needs to get his head up. He didn't get his head up before he played that ball into the centre of the box, and really could have just played it out to the left. And similarly, when he's been on a couple of his Messi-esque runs, when I've seen him, he just needs to get his head up and play the ball rather than sort of, I think he just kind of forgets where he is and just keeps going and hopes for the best a bit. But that would be really be my only
learning.
But in terms of Burgess, we just, again, a bit like Piggott, really, he's just not had, I feel for him, he's not had the opportunity, and that's not really his fault. I'm sure they're both good footballers, but Piggott's not had enough of a game, and it's really a long way into the season to expect him to suddenly have a run now. But I hope he does, and gets a couple of goals to his name. And I'm not sure that anyone's going to dislodge that back three at the moment.
Okay, we've got Dr. Zach King, the good doctor, mentioning the Wolf there. He's an absolute rock, and I'm happy with the Don and the Fridge. Long time in a while, I'm comfortable with our defence and with a cracking goalkeeper. Stephen, going to ask you about our midfield and the two contributors in just a second. There's lots of chat regarding our midfield and hopes it turns up. Before we do, let's hear about our new partner. Hello, you lovely lot. I am here very quickly to discuss Woodpecker Mortgages and Protection, run by Ipswich Town fan Graham. So you know you're in good hands if you go with Woodpecker Mortgages and Protection. I want to discuss the income protection service they do with you. You all know me and you all know my story. Literally, one day I went out into that big wide world, the scary world, and I had an injury which left me disabled and unable to work. Just like that, I lost my income. Just like that. That's a click there. Crazy. This may have been an answer to a prayer, because obviously when you can't work, you can't earn. And when you can't earn, your bills are still going to be there wanting to be paid, like children needing to be fed. This could have been an answer to my prayer and taken some stress away from me and let me focus on my mental and physical health. Income protection insurance, it's not for everybody, but it might be for you. So give Graham a call on 01636 337 447 or email graham@woodpeckermortgages.co.uk. And I must say, your home may be repossessed if you do not keep up repayments on your mortgage. You know it makes sense, you lovely people. Which it does, because the alternative is having to do a show with Richard and Matt. That's the future. Right. No, I love you too. Love you both, Reed. Right. Midfield. Josh Russell kicks us off elegantly and beautifully. Get Evans out of that midfield. He's fucking shocking. Morsey's been a big miss for us in the middle. Stephen's already shaking his head. I love it. Stephen, take it away with Josh's point now.
I put a tweet out the other day. Yeah. After Wednesday, everyone was going, we need Piggott in and we need Evans in. Yeah. After we played Gillingham, Piggott's shit, Evans is shit. I'm sorry. This is our fan base. Yeah. If you can't, I saw it at the end of the day. For me, this will be controversial. Yeah. I think we should start tomorrow again with the same two in the central midfield. Yeah. People might turn around and say, well, it was shit. It wasn't. Look at the match back. Go and watch it. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. What happened was we had plenty of the ball. Yeah, they had 6 in the within 20 yards of their goal. Yeah. So when we had plenty of ball. There was lots of passing play. We were passing it to each other and round the corner and all that until it got to the final third. When it got to the final third, there was nothing we could pass to. The movement wasn't there from our players. There was nothing, and there was too many of their players for us to get the ball through. You know, Evans came out with a superb free kick that I've not seen one of our players do. It doesn't matter whether it's one.
I'm just saying he has one good part of the match.
It doesn't matter.
George,
I think that was it.
He's the Evans Fan Appreciation Society.
All it needs is one, and you get your head on it. And they nearly did. You know, in fact, they should have done better with that ball, because that was a lethal ball. You know, the top and bottom of it is, having a bad game against one team does not mean you're going to have a bad game against the next team. You know, last time we played Doncaster, we scored 3. You know, can we not just rub the genie and say maybe he'll do it again? You know, why is it that one person has a bad game and they're vilified? You know, even Thompson in his first game, he was vilified for saying, he'd been here like 48 hours and he didn't play very well. You know, my God. You know, when there's people like Bon who go for 3 months just running around and not doing a hell of a lot,
Stephen,
and he's getting fucking posters made of him. Stephen. We need to calm down and say, look, everybody gets a first shake. If Bon's getting a first shake, the rest of them get the same slack.
What I would say,
otherwise,
Stephen,
you're not being a supporter in my eyes. You're being biased.
I think you got fair points there, but I would just say welcome to football in 2022 is what I probably would say back. That's football fans. Forever and a day, they are very fickle. If
I do say one thing
tomorrow, he'll be loved universally.
I do say one thing. I do think we played the ball better up until the final third. That's when everything fell down. Yeah, and then that's just at first half, I might say. Second half we collapsed, but that's probably because nothing was working for us. Every time we tried to play the ball through, it just wasn't going. It just didn't happen. You know. So going back to what you said, Alex, about being braver. They did try to be braver. You know, Chaplin had the ball in front of his feet and he had acres of space and he tried to play a quick ball when he had acres of space to run into and he chose not to. Sometimes you can be too brave and it ends up being suicidal. You know, it's got to be the right pass at the right time. And I don't think we were finding it. And I think that's where our biggest problem. But I think most of the issue will be, it's just going to be a matter of keeping our heads down and doing the best we can, and let Kieran McKenna mould it in the summer, because I think we might find a lot of the players we've got might not be here in summer.
Okay.
I think we might find...
All I've got in my head though, Steve, now is I'm a genie in a bottle. You got to rub me the right way.
I hope so.
Spinning around my head now. I appreciate that.
There's nothing wrong with it, Christina.
There's nothing wrong with Christina Aguilera, but it's not a song I wanted to have in my head at 9:15 on a Monday night. Alex, lots of points there from Stephen, really passionately put as always. First of all, let's pick up on it wasn't as bad as people think it was. People in the chat are saying it was. I would argue it probably was, but pick up on that point. And also the 6 players behind the ball and you know, the speed of play, if you like.
I think, you know, when you're a lower League One type, you're gonna that's what the 6 players behind the ball. That's what they're gonna do. Because you look at like a Gillingham or a Donny, you know, they're gonna come and play us and be happy with a point. You know what they're gonna set themselves up to say, right, we know what we do. Come and beat us. Yeah, and you know, it's not they're fighting for their lives. Like a point against us is a good result for them. For them, it's a case of let's put 6 behind the ball, and if we can nick a set play or a free kick or something like that, then we'll do that. You're not going to get a team like Gillingham or Donny do that. The type we want to play might be more suited when we play MK on Saturday, where we have a team that will come out and try and play us. Yeah. You know, I think we need to. I think we don't do as well with the teams that say, right, we're going to put 6 men behind the ball, break us down. You know, where we sort of come into it is with those teams that like will try and play us.
Well, who does?
The thing is, though, that is a great.
I just saw what who does. I was watching that West Ham Kiddie game, and that was roughly exactly the same sort of game. Kidderminster were sitting deep. They were 1-0 up. They were sitting deep, and it took West Ham 90 odd minutes to break them down. You know, and then they ended up winning in about the 118th minute. You know, the simple fact is, it's not something we get stumped by. It's something every team gets stumped by. But the simple fact is, we did break them down. Yeah, they could have scored, but they didn't. And we did break them down. So the plan worked.
What I would say, George, both great points from the 2 lads below, but it's about the quality on the ball. It's about the braveness on the ball. It's also about the speed of the play. And on Saturday, for me, Evans and Carroll, particularly as we're talking about those two now, was just too slow. What happens for me as a coach, 6 players behind the ball, one of them will engage at some point. That is just human nature, that somebody at some point will think they can win that loose ball and will engage. That is when you need to move the ball very quickly, because that is the gap in the Roman tortoiseshell, if you like. That is your way in. You play it into the space, you sit 1, 2, 3, you're in. Because you're not going to get that space in their lines very often. But eventually they will break cover. Saturday, we didn't do that. And in other games, like Alex says, we don't do that enough. We don't move the ball quickly enough when we need to. That's our issue. What do you think?
Well, I think it's how teams break us down, isn't it? And it comes back to the Edmondson mistake, was that he was put under a lot of pressure because they were playing it out from right at the back, and one of them broke and nicked the ball off him, and they went from there. And that's how teams don't counterattack against us, because we don't get that far up the pitch. So they have to, you know, they press us and put pressure on our defence. And if you're going to play out from the back, and you've got to play out, but also your defenders have got to be so comfortable on the ball. And fair play to them. I wouldn't want to do it. That's for sure. Play centre back and play out from the.
But is it a mindset issue, George?
Forward.
Where you've got Tom, Carroll, and Liam Evans maybe playing it safe in their mind, you know, because that gap in the line is not going to be a huge gap. It's going to have to be a brave ball at times. You have to thread it through the line. Yep. If you're naturally a defensive-minded player, your first instinct is going to be, I can't do that. Check. We'll go backwards.
Yeah,
is that when you need that more?
Scored. Some of the best goals we've scored in the last couple of months are Luco and Selena threading balls through 35 yards to feet. Those balls that they see, because they're the types of players that just see a pass like that. And I don't think Evans or Carroll or Morsey are that kind of player. And that's okay, because you need players that aren't that kind of player. But that's why Evans and Morsey and Evans and Carroll don't really work as a midfield
Well,
two
the
because
point
there's
is,
not enough in it.
we're
Go on, Steve.
We're
Final
talking
point.
about central midfield, and both the two names you mentioned there are not central midfielders, so they couldn't play there anyway. You know, they'd have to.
No, I'm not talking about replacing them in the.
I agree with that.
I'm saying the sort of passes that we're missing from central midfield, Stephen. I'm saying
I know,
that
but
having
two
two players that play the same and play largely slowly and sideways, and Evans has a phenomenal, and I say this every single time, he has a sublime pass in him. He has a phenomenal free kick in him, like he did on Saturday. Just doesn't do it enough. And whether that's whether he doesn't trust himself, he just doesn't do it enough.
Trying to understand where that helps us, especially for tomorrow, because there's nobody like that in the building, so there's not really a hell of a lot we can do about it. You know,
well, I think Evans is probably capable of doing it, and I think maybe Martin's right. Maybe it is a mindset thing for him. I think he just needs to have a little bit more faith in himself.
But what was the last time he did do it? The last time he did it was at Doncaster. He got a bollocking for doing it.
That's called braveness, Steve. That's why it's called being brave. No. You've got to be, as a player, you've got to just shrug that off and be brave again. Otherwise, you'll never play the game of football, because at some point you'll make a mistake. That's football.
He was a player. He went in there. He got 3 goals. He got a bollocking of his manager for doing something he wasn't supposed to do. Yeah, guaranteed a player will sit there and say, if I do that again, I'm not going to play. And you want to play. Yeah,
but that was
he's got a new manager now. It can't be that. It can't be that. And if it is that, then that's on him, because he's got a new manager now.
All right, Steve.
No, I just want to say, I'm not saying that now. I'm saying, but that could play into his mindset. If he does it again,
it could. You're right.
You know, so maybe McKenna needs to say, look, and have a look at that game and say, look, you can do this. I don't mind you doing it. Maybe he needs to. Maybe he has. I don't know. But if you want to go into mindsets, we've got to look at mindsets. But we need to find an option now. And to be honest, to be fair, especially if Burns isn't fit for tomorrow, I'd go 4-4-2 tomorrow and have Selena and Chaplin on the wings. At least then you've got directness there.
All right, I'll write that down. Remember that for the Doncaster bit in just a second. Stephen, as always, passion, honesty, realness. I do love you, Stephen. You are an absolute legend. Look after yourself. Right, going to bring the GOAT in just a second. Last point before we move to Doncaster. I want to discuss Kyle Edwards. Ronnie brings him up in the chat. Such a shame. Kyle Edwards hasn't shown up for us since we first saw him in a Town shirt. Looks like the kind of player that really could, if he hit form, be that brave, direct kind of player. Yes, back at Cheltenham, Alex, when we saw Kyle Edwards for the first time, we thought we had Lionel Messi in Division 1. Sadly,
that was it. The League One's Messi, wasn't it? I think with him, he's just a little bit too tricky at times. He just needs to maybe simplify things a little bit. And I think had he been in another position, I think he could have maybe benefited from possibly a loan somewhere, going out and playing week in, week out somewhere. But I just don't think, whereas, like, you know, we'd got resources in the centre midfield, so we could afford to let Harper go. We hadn't got that same luxury to let Kyle Edwards go, because you think he's maybe sort of second in a position. But I just think, you know, he hasn't. I don't think McKenna knows how to use him right now. I don't. You know, it's difficult because there's obviously quality there. There's obviously a player in there somewhere, but I seem to remember when we signed him, we had the lad from West Brom on, and he was saying sort of very similar in the sense that he'll do like one amazing thing, then just fade out for the majority of the game. You know, I think
that was Harper, but I think the same thing applies in respects here to Edwards, Alex. I do think you're right, and sorry to cut across you there. I just think, George, before I bring the GOAT in and get his thoughts on Kyle Edwards, you know, a fan that's seen a lot of players, McKenna doesn't know how to use him, says Alex. That's a pretty bang on statement, isn't it?
I change it slightly. I think it's it's the right idea. I'm not sure that he doesn't know how. I think he might just not have it in his locker at the moment, and he's coaching him how. I suspect he knows how to use him, but Edwards may not know how to play in that role, because if he wants to play in this team, he's going to have to play wing back, right? So, like, that's an adjustment for someone that I assume would call himself an out and out winger, and you know, and I think there's no doubt that he's a player and could be a real, solid player for us moving forward. He's only 23. He's another youngster. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he's not being shown the ropes in terms of playing that wing back role the way that McKenna wants him to play. But yeah, I agree that I think he probably just isn't quite suited to the role that he'd have to fill at the moment, because he can't play. I'm assuming that he can't play central midfield and give us the creative outlet we need there.
I think Scott Fraser was probably a player that we haven't got anymore that could have maybe been that outlet that's a forward thinker, brave on the ball, but he's not here, so that's a redundant conversation. But I do like a young player that perhaps hasn't got. There's a phrase I like: toolbox. He hasn't got the tools in his toolbox yet that wingers of certain ages finally get. The ability to beat a player inside, outside, left foot, right foot, have a shot when the player. Just this different manners of beating somebody. He hasn't got that yet. I think you're absolutely right. Wing back, great shout. I've seen him make more tackles than crosses. That could be something that McKenna looks to do. But Colin, sorry to bring you in so late. I know time's pushing on, but Carl Edwards, you've seen a lot of wingers at your time. Some fantastic, some not so great. Carl Edwards, he's got the potential. Why hasn't he put it all together just yet, do you feel?
I think, to be honest with you, Martin, I think with Carl Edwards, it's a massive confidence thing, I think, with him. Also, he's obviously a bit like Piggott, obviously, in a lot of ways. Excuse me, man. A lot like Piggott in a lot of ways. He's not obviously been given the game time. He's had a few knocks, like we know. But, I genuinely think that if he was given a good run, I suppose a lot like Piggott, really. I think you could. The tricks and the little skills are there. We've seen them on the few occasions we've seen Kyle.
Colin,
I think
experience,
he's a little player.
Yeah,
sorry.
Absolutely. We're just going to ask, because you've got your amount of many experience as a football fan. With your experience, I think you're right. He needs to run a game just like Piggott. The balancing act is how do you justify the games when the production isn't there? With your experience, how do you feel McKenna could navigate that? Because you're right, he does need a run of games, but you also need production in those games. So how do you balance it with your experience?
I don't know. It's a difficult one, Martin. It really is. The thing is, you see, even like in the little bits and pieces we've seen of him, I don't think he's scored a goal yet, has he?
No goals, no assists.
I was just going to say, the amount of times that he has played or come on as a sub, and he seems to run down dark alleys, or blind alleys, I should say. In a lot of cases, if I think that like some of the great wingers, look.
No, go for it. No, go on, go for it.
No, people have said to me over the last week or so, you can't keep mentioning the great players. Well, I'm going to.
Go for it.
Well, I'm going to. Clive Woods, right? Now, Clive Woods was a great winger. He used to beat players, and he used to get, he was a great winger, but he would beat players and then he'd beat them again, if that makes sense. But he had the ability to do it, and he had the confidence to do it. Now, with Carl Edwards, that is, like we said a little while ago, I think that's his major problem. I think his confidence thing. Clive Woods used to think, right, hello, we've got Mr. Rice today, Mr. Pat Rice, right? Okay, I'm going to turn you inside out. I'm not just talking about a couple, I'm talking about first season games at Portman Road. I'll turn you inside out, right? And I'll tell you what, I'll turn you inside out again. And I'll still get it in for PM to nod it in, But he had the confidence to do that. Anybody of my era will tell you that. Woodsy was that good, and he had the confidence coming out of his ear holes. That's what Carl lacks, Martin. No doubt about that whatsoever.
Ronnie says 100% agree with the GOAT. I think if he has a run in the team, his confidence will grow. Start of the season have either been one of my first names on the team sheet. Milk Tray Man says, Colin, how good was Piggott on Saturday? Was he great?
Sorry?
Milk Tray Man, how good was Colin? How good was Piggott on Saturday? Question mark. It was great when he Colin?
Has he just asked that question?
Yes, he has. Yeah.
Right. Does he really want an answer?
I think he does. I think he does.
Right. Okay. Was he great? No, he was not great. He tried to put. Look, let's put this another way. Right. I'm not getting involved in what we've spoken about before, because that is childish. That's more than childish. What I will say about Joe Piggott. No. I know, but look, he's asked the question. I'm going to answer it.
Go for it. The floor is yours.
No, I'm not even going to go there. I'm not going to go there.
Fair enough.
Look. What I will say about Joe Piggott is,
do you play him tomorrow night?
I think he's very, very overrated from a first division point of view. That's got to be said. Look, all this lark about 22 goals. I know he scored it. That's a fact. But do I personally? I'm not going to start mentioning names again, because that's not fair on him. Absolutely not fair on him. You're smiling, Martin. I know what you're thinking, but it isn't fair on him, right? But I've seen some of the greatest strikers this country's ever seen. So I will be fair with you, Joe Piggott, and I will not mention those again, right? What I will say about you is that I think you're just a bang average first division striker. I said on Saturday, I watched him. My eyes were coming out of my head watching him in the warm up, and that lad is a bang average first division striker. Now, if he goes and scores a hat trick tomorrow night, fair play to him. There'll be nobody more pleased than me. But for goodness sake, let's start getting our feet on the ground with him. I really, really hope, and I hope he watches this. From my heart, I hope you do very, very well for our club, right? And do everything you can to get us in those playoffs. But I think we need to be a little bit more. I think we need to be a little bit more level-headed on him, and I think I might do him a bit good.
Do you play tomorrow night, Colin? Do you play him tomorrow night? If you're in charge, is he being picked?
I would look. I'm going to be totally honest with you, Gov. I know it's hypocritical because we've just said he needs games. Tomorrow night, it's a must-win game. I would be bordering on. If I was pushed, I would play Bonner Norwood.
Okay, but then Norwood didn't do.
I just would. Sorry,
but then Norwood didn't do anything on Saturday. I think I could count how many times he touched the ball on two hands.
But Norwood this season alone is more of a goal scorer than Joe Piggott in a game that we desperately need to win.
Okay, fair enough. All right, just to shift it before you go to Doncaster,
that's my opinion, Martin.
That's absolutely fine. Colin, stay right there. I want your opinion. I have got Trinity Red Devils goals of the month. There are 3. There is a poll coming into the chat. I'm going to get your 3 opinion. George, I will ask you about goal 1. Alex about goal 2. And Colin, I will ask you about goal 3. Here are all 3.
Money coming, money go. I've been at it on the low. Trapping out of where I live. I keep seeing the leaders doing, let's be talking plans and maybe seeing you. Pull up on you, let me scoop. Nobody here but me and you. Got a little ring to it, turn that thing fluid in the coupe. Way you look, I know it's real. I'm on my Marshawn shit. I been really getting feel. You know why I'm here. Don't act like you don't know how I feel. But let me tell you what you mean to me. Slide on me for that meet and greet. Vibe with me in the moonshine, sipping moonshine to the new sky. Taste toasted and be raised soaked in the raincoat. Hit the waves quota, I be flossing. I be locked in, I was lost here. All that turned me to a target. Niggas plotting on me, I be cautious. Back then I was an adolescent, then I had a lesson. I'm the man now, I got fans now, I'm on cam now, I got plans now, I'm finna branch out, grip quick, but never let go this year. All of that bullshit is in my rip. Hey, blue tin papers, blowing vapors, wooden traders. Long hair killer in my villa, bitch, I made it. Used to play the play, now I think we major now. She wanna lay me down, I'ma need you to hold me all the way down. Put it down for me, say you down for me, say you hold it all the way down. Put it down for me, put it down for me. Say you hold it all the way down. Say you down for me, put it down for me. Say you hold it all the way down. Put it down for me, say you down for me. Okay, I give a fuck what you telling me. I really grind like it's 10 of me. Sauce drip, I got the recipe, and you can find me where that pressure be.
Okay, as I said to Sam, 3 absolute filthy goals, particularly 1 and 2. George, goal 1, cross shot.
That's a hell of a cross, isn't it?
You think it's a cross?
Yes, because it was. But it's a cracking cross, though. Like you know, I'm going to complain about that, but yeah, that's a cross all day long.
Bad goalkeeper, do you think, George? Like, I mean, you know, he's can't get his legs moving quick enough, can he?
No, I don't. You can't blame the keeper for that.
It's
just one of those ones, isn't it? That's absolutely perfectly into the top corner. Yeah.
Okay. Goal number 2 was an overhead kick, Mr. Wilson.
Anytime you see an overhead kick, then that just cherry on the cake. But what I also liked in that was the determination to get the ball in the first place. You know, so that was good. But yeah, anytime you get an overhead kick takes a lot of balls to do, doesn't it? Because if it comes off, it's sublime. If it doesn't, then there's no middle ground for an overhead kick. You either get slated for trying it, or you get lauded.
You do.
So I think it takes a lot of balls to even try it. So you got to applaud him just for that.
Absolutely. Colin, speaking of which, there was a player on Saturday, wasn't there, that did an overhead kick, and I said to the person next to me, he forgot he was playing for Gillingham. It was absolutely terrible. Do you remember that overhead kick attempt?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, without a laugh, and
It was brilliant.
Not good. Not good.
Goal number 3 was a George Edmondson-esque pass out of defence, a searching ball, Colin, into the centre of the 18-yard box. Touch, Connor Chaplin style hit. Out of the 3, it's probably the weakest, but what did you make of it?
Well, I thought it was a very good finish, you know. Yeah, very, very good. Give it 8 out of 10.
8 out of 10. Who would be your winner then, Colin? 1, 2, or 3?
I'd say the overhead.
The overhead, yeah. George, 1, 2, or 3?
Yeah, you don't beat an overhead kick, you know. Yeah.
No, there's no need to ask Alex. He's already literally purred over the overhead. Right, Colin, before I let you go on, Colin.
Can I just say one thing? And I feel really pretty sad about that. Really, somebody put in the chat about, I hope, and I mean this because you never know, he might watch it. Somebody put in the chat, I hope Joe Piggott don't watch it because Colin Neal feels shit. No, look. I think you got me wrong there. You know, I don't wish no ill harm on any Ipswich Town football player. All I'm saying to Joe Piggott, like I said on Saturday, is get up the training, which I'm sure he's doing 100%. Get up the training ground, work on stuff, work on your hold-up play, work on your left foot, work on being a total... Look, I said I'm not going to mention any of them players ever again, and I won't, right? But, you know, watch a few videos. Have a little look. Do yourself a favour. Make yourself a better player. Make yourself a better player for us. Make yourself a better player, more importantly, for yourself. Nobody wants him to do better for himself and for us more than me. So to put that, I thought was a bit derogatory towards me. I don't want no ill harm towards that player whatsoever. And I want that to be made quite plain. Nobody, if he plays tomorrow night, nobody, absolutely nobody, would want that player more to get a hat-trick than me.
What I would say, Colin, in John's defence is I don't think he was actually... I think in John's defence, Colin, I don't think he was pinpointing it at you. I think he was... Because there's many people on the platform that do often speak about Joe Pigott not being a particularly great player. But Colin, before I let you go, very quickly, I'll bring Jeremy and Neil in to join us for the Doncaster look. Score prediction, please.
0-2.
That'll do me every day of the week. Colin, enjoy your sleep.
And Joe Pigott brace, please.
Oh,
and I absolutely mean.
You're going too far. Next, you'll be sending him a fruit basket. You'll be sending him a fruit basket next. Colin, we love you. We appreciate you. What a man. What a legend. Neil, I will bring you in. Good evening, sir. How are you?
Oh, it's been ages, girl. Yeah, good, thanks.
It has. Terribly sorry. We've got you at last. Jeremy, you're coming in just a second. Be ready. I'm going to bring you into the Doncaster chat. How do you think tomorrow is going to go, Neil? Talk to us.
I think personally, I don't think it's going to be that easy again like Saturday was. I just don't think it'll be an easy game at all. I think we'll get the 3 points. We need the 3 points, but maybe a 2-1, something like that. I can see us winning, but it's not going to be easy.
A 2-1, not going to be easy, Mr. Nunn. How do you see it going tomorrow night?
I'm just looking to see how many goals they've conceded in the last 4 home games.
Don't worry, it's on the home games, don't know. But yeah.
I think they've conceded 11 in their last 4 home games. Their home form hasn't been brilliant. I know they beat Sunderland at the weekend. I agree with Neil. It's not going to be easy. But because no games are for us at this level or any level. But I'm going to stick with the goat, actually. I'm going to go 2-0 Town. I'm teetering on 1-0 or 2-0, but I'm going to hope that we make it a little bit more comfortable than Saturday.
Okay. Doncaster, Alex, are a team that ship goals quick like the Titanic shipped water. Surely. This is a game where we've got to go and press our quality and take them to the sword again, haven't we?
We have, but at the same time, we've got to show them the respect. I think a couple of people have taken tonight. We can't just rock up there and do the whole Ipswich Town. We deserve to win this, but it a must win tomorrow. We must, go in and we can't get sucked into playing their game. We play our game, we impose ourselves on, we get the result, but we do it professionally.
I like that. I'll bring Jeremy in on that one. Jeremy, you have to go. Oh, I love the colour of your wall, Jeremy. That is right on point with our background.
I know. This is my Doctor Who room.
Oh, are you a big fan of Doctor Who, Jeremy?
I am.
Who was your doctor, sir?
My doctor was Tom Baker.
No. David Tennant. Can't beat David Tennant. Best doctor there ever was and ever will be.
You are young.
If you're talking about nowadays, the new series, it has to be Dave Tennant.
Yes, Jeremy. I knew there's a reason why I liked you. Or Matt Smith, but definitely David Tennant. Back to the football. Safety guy says Sunderland was a fluke. We would take Donny out easily tomorrow. Jeremy, was Sunderland a fluke? Will we take Donny to the sword tomorrow?
Well, I'd hope so, but we've never really done too well down there, have we?
Well, funny you should say that, because I do have the last 5. I'll go to the away day guide page. Bear with me just a memento. Last 5. We've only lost 1 of the last 5. Away, 4-1. Got absolutely hammered. If you remember that one, George, we got taken to the sword. Paul Lambert was in charge. We were not doing too bad. And it was Darren Moore, I think, in charge for Doncaster at the time. But picking up on Jeremy's point, George, place we don't normally do well at. Well, the last 5, they're in our favour.
Yeah. I don't have a great memory of how well we do or don't do it at Doncaster. You'll be surprised to hear. But I don't. They're not one of those teams that sort of rings bells as a bogey team for us away from home. I think Alex is right. It just needs to be professional, doesn't it? We need to go out and do our jobs and just do it better than Saturday. And it sounds like they know that they need to do a better job on Saturday. So
professional job, Neil, is not something you often associate with Ipswich Town. I'm going to be brutally honest.
No, I just think that whoever you're playing, whether it's bottom of the league, playoff team or whatever, you've got to earn the right to put your stamp on the game. No matter who you're playing, you have to earn the right. You can't just roll up, like Alex said. You can't do that.
Absolutely.
It's just complacent, and you're just going to end up losing if that's the case then. But I know, like you said before, Gov, when teams maybe aren't doing so well and we suddenly roll up, that's when it tends to go a bit pear-shaped, doesn't it, sometimes?
Well, yeah, Cheltenham away this year for a start. James B, Jeremy, less pressure away from home. A win. Quality will overcome as long as we don't piss about and work hard. Is there less pressure away from home, do you feel, Jeremy? I won't ask George.
I think so. Well, I hope there's less pressure because I know I don't go away because it's a bit difficult for me to get from Felixstowe to Ipswich to catch the coach with these fans.
Yeah.
But I think I'd go with a 3-2 win tomorrow.
Okay, right. I've got two teams for you to look at. Neil, we'll start with yourself. George has gone for a really well-designed 3-5-2, I believe that is, or a 5-3-2. He's gone for
it's
Walton.
not wide enough to put all the players.
No, he's got Walton.
It's not that well designed.
No, well, you designed it. You designed it, George. Walton, Vincent Young, Doncaster, Wolfenden, Edmondson, Thompson, Backinson, Evans, Chaplin, Bonn, and Norwood. So the only three changes from Saturday for George. Neil, that's Vincent Young replacing Wes Burns, who
that's assuming he's injured, by the way.
Yep, nothing major is what Kieran McKenna said on Saturday after the game. He's got Backinson replacing Tom Carroll and Macaulay Bonn replacing Joe Piggott. Let's focus in on the right back position, Neil. Nothing major from McKenna on my notes. Let's say he's fit for a moment. Do you risk him with Saturday coming up, or do you go actually, you've got a knock, you're 60, 70%.
Yeah.
We'll bring you on if we need to.
You keep him on. Yeah, you keep him on the bench, Gov. Yeah, keep him on the bench with Saturday in mind. I think Vincent Young's a good shout for tomorrow. I agree with that, and I agree with the formation 3-5-2 definitely.
Yeah.
Wrap Burns in cotton wool. Keep him for Saturday.
That said, though, Alex, there were many now screaming at their tablets, their phones, their computer screens. You play the game that's in front of you. You do not overlook an opposition. If you can get 60 minutes out of Wes Burns, do you play him?
No, you don't. Because I think we've got enough, as a whole, we've got enough quality. We should have enough quality to beat Donny. And the concern I have is that say he's at 60%, someone puts a ill-timed challenge in on him, and we lose him completely for MK. I think that's a bigger loss than losing him tomorrow potentially.
Okay, because Stephen says we have enough without Burns. We could lose him for longer. Jeremy, centre midfield. George has gone for Backinson over Tom Carroll. Would you change up the midfield too? If you would you go with Backinson or what would you do in that midfield, Jeremy?
I'll go with Backinson.
The same as George then?
Yeah.
To be clear, that's me wishing Evans forward. Because I know that there's an obvious criticism there, which is putting two players in the middle doing the same thing. But Backinson's supposedly the defensive option there, which I don't think anybody else really holds a hand up to particularly. So if Backinson plays, give Evans the rein to go forward and play those passes that we know he can play. Passes plurally.
Okay. Jeremy has gone. Jeremy, hopefully you'll come back to us. We'll go to Alex's team. We've got Walton in goal, Edmondson, Wolf, JD, Aluko, Carroll, Evans, Thompson, Chaplin, Piggott, and Norwood. So is that an unchanged lineup there, I see, Alex?
No, because you put Aluko in for Wes Burns.
Oh, I do apologise.
You're playing Aluko on the right, and you're dropping But yeah, I think just literally he can play right side midfield. I think he gives us the same amount going forward that Wes Burns does. So why not put him in? And just my controversial one will be keeping Joe Pigott in. I think if you're going to try and get something out of him, you need to show a little bit of faith in him. And as we're away at Donny, why not give him another go? Because I can't remember if he has actually started consecutive games this year.
No, he hasn't.
And so I just think that a little bit of faith in him, that little bit of, right, something obviously been said to Joe Pigott, because obviously McKenna came out in the week and said that McKenna has got a part to play, or Pigott, has got a part to play here. And I think if you start him one game and give him a chance and then drop him back out again, it kind of defeats to what you're trying to do by bringing him in.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I'll come back to Pigott because it's just the chat is really picking up on your Aluko at right wing back selection. Talk to me about that. Is that a traditional right wing back, or is that more of a you've got to go forward and not worry about defending? Because many are saying at 30, 31, 32, whatever age he is now, getting him up and down the field just isn't going to happen, Alex.
It's to go into that role very similarly that Wes Burns said about. I can't remember after which game he said it. I think it might be when he scored his brace against Wimbledon. He said, "I haven't got to worry about defending because JD does that for me." So literally just let Aluko go forward, and let JD worry about. We're not going to play JD going up and down the wing, JD. Sorry, Aluko's not going up and down the wing. Aluko's primary role in that team is to get forward and put balls in, rather than defend.
Sorry, Neil. The GOAT says that Aluko is quality. Craig said I wouldn't risk Aluko at the back. Ronnie said I'd rather Aluko on the right of a front three. You've seen Alex's lineup there, Aluko at the right wing back position, but as he just said, not really focused on defending at all. What do you think of it?
I sort of agree with what Mike Dees just said there in the chat about Pop. I know he's been out and he's not been on much lately, but maybe Edwards, a bit of pace away from home. Yeah, I like that idea. Especially if Burns isn't fit, you could maybe do with a bit more pace. I like that idea with Edwards, to be honest. Not doubting Aluko's a good player, absolutely. But I think that's a good shout, maybe Edwards there.
Yeah. Jeremy, Joe Pigott, as Alex was saying there, needs a run of games. This time last week, Jeremy, nobody would have had Caden Jackson again in their 11 like they have this week. He could be the surprise selection again tomorrow. Would it be Joe Pigott for you? Who would it be up front? You got options?
I'd like to see Joe Pigott again.
With whom?
I'd like to, as I said earlier in the chat, I said that text chat. He just needs to. I think if he gets one, he'll start scoring. You've got to keep faith.
You certainly have. But would you pair him with Macaulay Bonne, Caden Jackson, James Norwood on his own? What would you do with him? How are you playing him?
I think he needs someone up there with him. I'd go with Norwood.
Norwood, okay. Could we see Caden Jackson tomorrow, do you think, George?
No. But that's famous last words. I would have said the same last week.
Why I asked? He has said he...
Of course we could. Of course we could, because it's impossible to predict a Kieran McKenna football team, isn't it? Which is beyond the back five when they're fit. It's pretty impossible to pick the team at the moment, which is what makes this fun. But I don't know. I doubt it somehow, but who knows? Maybe. There's nothing against Caden. I just like.
Before we finish the show and grab your score predictions, the results are in from the live chat. I may put it on Twitter as well to expand the results, but the winner of the live chat poll certainly is goal number 2 with 53% of the vote share. Goal number 1 got 37%. Goal 3 got 11%. Who the fuck voted for goal 3? We had those two pearlers to choose from. Who's got big thumbs and misclicked? Anyway, Goal number 2 wins it. I may put it on Twitter, but if not, he is the winner of the goal of the month. So, congratulations. Score predictions then. And tell me in one word, yes or no, will we see an overhead kick of our own tomorrow? George.
Yes, we will. And 2-0 Town.
Yes, we will. And 2-0 Town. Alex.
I'm going to go 2-0 as well. I don't think we will.
That's a shame. That's a shame. It's split down the middle. Neil.
No, I'd say no, and I'll go 2-1 Town.
Okay. Jeremy, are you going to give it a resounding vote for the no, or are you going to give me the deadlock? What do you think?
Ooh, yes. I'm going for the no, for the overhead. And I think Bond, if Piggott's not in, then I think Bond may get a hat-trick.
Wow. Well, in that case, don't play Piggott.
You watch Joe Piggott go score screaming over the head kick now.
Oh, well, I'd love that. We've got Ben Moore, 4-1 Town, Edmondson overhead kick. EJ pressed 3 by accident. There you go, EJ.
May I just make a mention of a former Ipswich Town steward or gateman who sadly passed away this weekend. His name was Neville Cook.
Okay, Jeremy. Oh, thank you very much for bringing it back, Jeremy. Hang on. There we go. Thank you very much for that. That's very sad news. So all our best from Talking Town to his family. Our wishes and thoughts are with you all. Yeah. So tomorrow, live. 7:15. Talking Town's match day ticket. Myself, Neil, Mr. Positivity Moles. We're not going to beat anyone. We're fucking shit. You know him. And Stephen, the aficionado Thompson. Jeremy, thank you for your super chats. Look after yourself. Neil, thank you for your super chats.
Cheers, guys. See you guys.
Do not leave it so soon next
Later.
time. But we are done for another week. You have been absolutely amazing in the chat. You've been fantastic for the people who have clicked the live link. And you two on the screen ain't been too bad either. So, well done. And you've got through another show, Alex. Look at that. You're rocking and rolling.
I am indeed, and it's just an absolute pleasure. You know, it really is, and I can't thank you guys enough for the opportunity. I can't thank everyone down there in the chat that always comes on and sort of backs me, not backs me up, but sort of gives me feedback afterwards. It's a real pleasure to be part of this community, and I'm going to shout you out again, Gov, because I think you can't get enough credit for what you've done. But let's keep building it strength to strength.
Absolutely, yeah. And if you want some feedback, the only feedback I'd probably give you is whatever I say, just agree with and say how great I am. That's the only feedback. But you have been Lionel Von Rock, the amazing one. He is Mr. Monday Night. If you want to see him, he is box office. He brings the ratings. George, as always, another fantastic show with you, my friend. And until tomorrow, 7:15, I am the Gov. This is Talking Town, and we'll see you all tomorrow. Look after yourself.
We're on a journey, looking back on the things that we've taken for granted, but feels like we're learning to be better.